Good evening. We're ready to begin. This Planning Commission meeting is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV, Cable Channel 2. You can also watch this meeting live on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV on the Go Vegas app. The Planning Commission meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, can be viewed on the internet at www.kclv.tv/live. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV and the web the Saturday after the meeting at 10 a.m., Monday at midnight, and the following Tuesday at 6 p.m. Would everybody please stand for the pledge? Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chair Schlottman.
Present.
Vice Chair Cherry.
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Rogan.
Present.
Commissioner Walsh.
Present.
Commissioner Kasama.
Present.
Commissioner Taylor. Present. Thank you, Chair. You have quorum.
Thank you. I call your attention to the information printed in your agenda concerning our actions and the appeal and review process if appropriate. Please read this carefully, and if you have any questions, staff is available. Also, the second page of our agenda contains our rules of conduct. We appreciate you adhering to these rules so we could have a smooth meeting. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium, give your name for the record. The amount of any discussion as well as the amount of any time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Does anyone want to be heard on this particular item? Seeing none, I'll move on. I'm sorry, is somebody coming forward? Good evening, sir. If you could turn the microphone on and then give us your name and address for the record.
Okay. Joshua Sterman, 611 Fremont Street, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89101. I would like to go over some details over item number 13 today, if possible, please.
Okay, you're requesting to have that item pulled from the one motion, one vote to discuss?
Yes, please, exactly.
Okay, sure. Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Good evening, sir. Same. Okay, perfect. All right, seeing no one else, I'm closing the public hearing and look for a motion to approve the minutes of October 10th, 2023.
Motion on the floor for approval of the minutes.
Motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
And that motion carries. Let's move on to housekeeping items. Are there any members, the commissioner, staff, applicants, or members of the public would like to pull forward for action?
Mr. Chairman, staff has some housekeeping items. The first is the applicant is requesting to withdraw without prejudice agenda item number 16H, project number 23-0052, MSP1, and hold the remaining applications 23-0052 ZON1, VAC1, VAR1, SUP1 through SUP3, and SDR1 to the January 9th Planning Commission meeting. Staff is requesting to strike item number 17A as revisions received eliminated the need for the special use permit. The applicant is requesting to hold agenda item number 18, project number 23-0364 to the January 9th Planning Commission meeting. This is the applicant's second request. The applicant is requesting to hold agenda item number 20, project number 23-0310 to the December 12th Planning Commission meeting. This is the applicant's first request. And staff is requesting to hold agenda item number 25, project number 23-0457 to the January 9th Planning Commission meeting in order to renotice the application. And the applicant is requesting to hold agenda item number 27, project number 23-0466 to the December 12th Planning Commission meeting, and this is the applicant's first request. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to be heard on any of these items? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Turn this over to the vice chair.
Through the chair, I make a motion to approve the housekeeping items with numbers 16, 18, and 25 to be held until the January 9th, 2024 meeting, with the item number 20 and 27 until the December 12th Planning Commission meeting, item number 16H to be withdrawn without prejudice, and item number 17A to be stricken.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote. Commissioner Rogan?
Aye. Aye.
And that motion carries. All right. Moving on to the one motion, one vote portion of the agenda. The following items are items that may be considered in one motion, one vote. They are considered routine, non-public, and public hearing items with a staff recommendation of approval. The public hearing and non-public hearings will be opened at one time. Any person representing the application or member of the public or member of the Planning Commission not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by staff should request to have that item removed from this part of the agenda. Number 7, 23-0327. SUP1 applicants, Opportunity Village, owner, State of Nevada Division of State Lands. For possible action on land use entitlement project request for a proposed 63,990 square foot alcohol on premise use with waivers to allow a 0-foot distance separation from an individual care center, a 258-foot distance separation from a school, and a 272-foot distance separation from a city park where 400 feet is required at 6300 West Oakey Boulevard. Number 8 is 23-0454, SUP1, applicant Stuff My Turkey with Soul, owner Sahara 3D LLC, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a proposed 3,163 square foot alcohol on-premise full use with a 200 square foot outdoor patio area at 4760 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 20. Number 9 is 23-0454, Number 9 is 23-0460, applicant Joseph Wickman, owner Centerpoint Plaza, for possible action on the following land use project or entitlement project request at 10300 West Charleston Boulevard, Suite 1. 9A is 23-0460, SUP1, for a proposed 5,052 square foot beer, pubs, and lounge use. Number 9B is 23-0460, SUP2, for a proposed gaming restricted use. 10 is 23-0465, SUP1, applicant Justin Davis, owner Nicola LVP Limited Partnership, for possible action on land use entitlement project request for a proposed automobile rental use at 3021 South Valley View Boulevard, Suite 209. Number 11 is 23-0477, VAC1, applicant Toll North LV, owner is Elkhorn 56 LLC, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a petition to vacate a portion of Jones Boulevard, public right-of-way, generally located between Deer Springs Way and Elkhorn Road, Ward 6. So number 12, 23-0494, SUP1, applicant Michelle Zamora, owner Joseph's Family Limited Partnership, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a proposed 819 square foot massage establishment use with a waiver to allow 140-foot distance separation from a parcel zone for residential use where 400 feet is required at 1815 West Charleston Boulevard, Suite 4. 13 is 23-0502, SUP1, applicant DDT Bar, owner Downtown Carson LLC, for possible action on a following land use entitlement project request for a proposed 2,607 square foot alcohol on-premise full and alcohol off-premise ancillary use at 124 South 6th Street, Unit 150. Number 14 is 23-0505, SUP1, applicant Feel Good Brands, owner 900 South Main LLC, for possible action on a land use entitlement request for a proposed 8,084 square foot food processing use on 0.66 acres at 900 South Main Street, C2, Ward 3. 15 is 23-0564, SDR1, applicant H+C Distillery, owner Nevada Distilling Company, LLC, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request for a proposed 11,615 square foot heavy manufacturing facility with waivers of the Appendix F interim downtown Las Vegas development standards on 2.69 acres at the northwest corner of Wyoming Avenue and Industrial Road. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I think there was a request to hold, or to hear 13, and also I just want, and also on number 13, I have ongoing business relationship with the entity that owns this particular item. I don't know much about this particular item, but out of abundance of caution, I'll be abstaining on that matter.
Through the chair, I'd like to also disclose on items 14 and 15, I do own property within the notification area. It doesn't affect me any greater or lesser. I will be voting on the items tonight. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve the one motion, one vote items excluding item 13 that we will be hearing.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
And that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, items 7, 9, 10, 14, and 15 are final action tonight and must appeal to the city clerk in 10 days. And items 8, 11, and 12 will move on to city council on December 20th.
Thank you. And item number 13 is read into the record. Could we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds that the proposed use is harmonious and compatible with the surrounding area and is recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an applicant here on this particular item? Good evening.
Good evening, Chair. Jennifer Gaynor, 1810 South 7th Street, J. Gaynor Law, here for the applicant.
Do you have anything you would like to discuss on the particular application or tell us about the application? Or do you want to see what the individual, what questions they had and then respond?
Happy to just give a very quick summary.
Okay.
So DDT Bar, it's going to be a restaurant with food and craft cocktails at 6th and Fremont. Great location. This use permit is for full liquor on-premise and off-premise. I understand a lot of the questions might be about the off-premise to make sure that they don't take, cups of liquor with a lid on it and wander out onto Fremont Street. That is absolutely not my client's intent. The off-sale is only for purchase of full meals, and it would only be sealed containers of alcohol, manufacturer sealed, so like a bottle of beer or something sold with a meal, and there will also be signage on premises letting people know that they are not to unseal and drink those within 1,000 feet of the premises. So I think that's what most of the questions were about, but we're happy to answer any questions.
Thanks. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone from the public like to be heard? Just need your name and address for the record, please.
Joshua Sterman, once again, from 611 Fremont Street. The question is, so is it going to be beer, or is it also going to be a hard liquor when it's in the original container? So are you going to be selling 750s of Jack Daniels as well?
Thank you. Any other questions before we close public hearing?
Sure. Would you be able to walk in there and walk out, or is it just internet sales? Are they going to be delivering inside the downtown overlay district and the Fremont Street experience, or just outside? Also, according to the internet purchasing online sales, you're not allowed to pick up inside the location. Are you also allowing people to order online and pick up the beer and whatever other alcohols on the curb? Or is this strictly for delivery outside the downtown overlay district and the Fremont Street experience, because there's so many tighter regulations in those two districts for off-premise liquors?
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to be heard from the public hearing?
Did you want me to answer?
Did you want to be heard, sir? I'll need your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, those are most of the questions I was going to ask. I just wanted, in the paperwork, there was no alcohol control plan. And I think that's what the questions were basically.
Got it. Can I get your name for the record, please?
Yeah. My name is Richard Sturman, 611 Fremont Street.
Thank you.
Okay?
Great, thank you. With that, I'll close the public hearing and give a chance for the applicant to respond.
Thank you, and I do have copies of the alcohol control plan. I have submitted this to business license, but if the commission would like copies, I have them here as well. Those answer most of the questions. I think the one question about if it would be, liquor in the sealed container, no. My clients are high-end craft cocktails, so if there's any liquor sold in a sealed container with a meal, it would be just beer, probably, or wine, but they're not intending to sell, malt beverages in a can or anything like that. And they absolutely understand that with the location by Fremont Street, they are not going to let customers leave with open beverages and drink them on Fremont Street. They're not going to let them walk in and place an order for liquor and walk out on Fremont Street with it. This is for, the off-premise sales is really not a focus of their business, but they just want to be able to offer that for occasion.
Great, thank you. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the council for discussion and/or motion. Any comments from anyone? Seeing no one and noting the chair's abstention, I'm prepared to make a motion to follow staff's recommendation for approval. I was satisfied with the comments. I know business licensing does a good job of making sure that all the different documents are turned in, including myself with something I'm involved in, making sure there's an alcohol plan, and they go around and check, and if it's not conforming, they'll let you know, and it needs to be corrected quite quickly. So with that, I'm making a motion for approval.
Aye.
And that motion carries.
Thank you.
And that is final action tonight unless appealed to the city clerk in 10 days.
Thank you. Moving on to public hearing item number 17, Abeyance 23-0273, applicant And Go Concepts LLC, owner Pre-Rancho Craig LLC, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request on .70 acres. I am going to pull one item forward before we hear that item. I am going to pull forward number 24. 24 is 23-0453 VAR1, applicant owner Radel Ravello Nada, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow an existing 6-foot-tall wall in the front yard where 5 feet is maximum height allowed, and with a 3-foot solid base where 2 feet is maximum height allowed on .11 acres on 2620 Rising Legend Way, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, Corey Stewart, Senior Planner for the record. The existing front yard wall was constructed without building permits and exceeds Title 19 maximum height requirements. Staff finds the variance request to be a self-imposed hardship and thereby recommends denial. Please note an additional letter of protest was received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Minerva Gomez, and I'm with the Department of Community Development, a staff person assisting the gentleman with the translation.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask him to give his name and address.
Thank you.
Bueno, mi nombre es Raider Ravelo Noda, dirección es 2620 Rising Lane Way, La Vega Nevada, en 89108.
Okay.
The address.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the project?
¿Se nos puede decir un poco de su proyecto?
Yo compré la casa con la barda así, y entonces supuestamente tiene 2 pulgadas de diferencia. Entonces estaba haciendo el proyecto a ver si se queda así, hay que arreglarla.
So he bought the house. ¿Cuántos años? 10 años.
No, la compré ya casi hecha ya,
¿Cuándo la compró?
hace un año.
A year ago, he purchased the house, and the wall was already in place. And ¿qué más?
La cerca estaba hecha, lo que supuestamente tiene 2 pulgadas más alta de lo normal.
He said it was already made, it was already in place when he purchased the house a year ago, and that the wall is 2 inches above what it's supposed to be. Is it 2? 2 pulgadas.
Sí, 2 pulgadas es lo que tiene.
Yeah, he says 2 inches. Okay.
Sí, solamente el frente y un lado.
So it's only the front and part of the side?
Sí. Sí, yo lo que quiero solicitar es dejarla así como está. ¿verdad?
So he would like to request that he leave the wall as is. ¿Quiere decir algo más?
No,
I asked him if he wanted to say anything else. He said no.
All right, thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn this over to Commissioner Williams for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so just for my understanding to the applicant, the wall was in place when they purchased the home?
sí, sí.
Yes, the wall was in place when he purchased the house.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. I mean, it's within a foot, both for the block wall and then the total height of the fence. I think it's kind of tricky as well, purchasing something that's out of compliance. I would open it up to hear additional perspective from fellow commissioners on this, if any.
Commissioner Williams, I'm looking at it. I mean, if it's really within 2 inches, that would make sense why it was noticed as a 6-foot tall wall where 5 feet's maximum height required. And, you know, with the steep grade that you can tell from the photos, it would be real simple to get off by 2 inches as you're constructing that. So I don't really have a big issue with this.
I sit in the same place, Commissioner.
Thank you for your comments. So from my perspective, it actually is one of the better looking walls and fence. I appreciate the ironwork and detail, matches the residence. And so at this time, ready to make a motion for approval on item 23-0453 VAR1. I just want to make sure you're in agreement with staff's conditions on this.
Sí.
Yes, he agrees.
All right, motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
And that motion carries.
And that item will move on to City Council on December 20th.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number
What was those date again?
December 20th.
December 20th.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on to number 35, 23-0509, TXT1, applicant owner, City of Las Vegas, for possible action on a request to amend Las Vegas Municipal Code 19.10.020 regarding the CV Civic District and to provide for other related matters. Staff recommends approval. Can we get the staff report, please? Can we get the staff report on item number 35?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the CV zoning district is available to various governmental, quasi-governmental, and other public agencies, as well as the quasi-public institutions for the development of property within the City of Las Vegas. Projects found in the CV district can vary widely and can include uses such as schools, libraries, parks, and fire stations. The development standards of this district, therefore, must be flexible enough to accommodate this wide range of projects while still maintaining compatibility with the surrounding area. This amendment maintains the residential protection standards outlined in Title 1910 while outlining deviations from standards to be handled through the site review process instead of the variance process. This provides additional flexibility for staff and governmental entities developing within the CV district. Staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Could I please ask for any of the conversations that's happening in the audience to move outside the chambers? In the front row, blue shirt. Joshua? Could I ask for the conversation up front to move to the outside chambers? Thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll turn this over to the Planning Commission for discussion and possible action. Vice Chair?
Through the chair, I'm prepared to make a motion. Commissioner Williams?
No, I was through the chair. I'd just like to add, I'm actually in support of this item, and it's my understanding that the Planning Commission would still have rights to review a project, although it's designed to streamline the process. So I'll be supporting it.
Yeah, that is a great point to put out there. With that, I'm prepared to make a motion for approval on item number 35. Commissioner Taylor?
Sorry, just to one clarification. I just want to confirm on the record. Again, these are only for those civic projects that require some flexibility and nimbleness to be able to get them completed in a way that benefits the community. And because it is limited to those CV projects, I'm prepared to support it as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, there's a motion on the floor, or motion for approval on item 35.
Thank you. Motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote. Commissioner Rogan's an aye. And that motion carries.
And that item will move on to City Council in ordinance form.
Thank you. Item 17 is abeyance 23-0273, applicant Go Concepts, LLC, owner Pre-Rancho Craig, LLC, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request on .70 acres on the south side of Craig Road, approximately 900 feet west of the intersection of Craig Road and Jones Boulevard, Ward 5. Staff recommends denial. 17B is abeyance 23-0273, SDR1, for a proposed 1,000 square foot restaurant with drive-through with a waiver of the perimeter landscape buffer requirements. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, while a waiver is requested to allow a reduced landscape buffer width along a portion of Craig Road, staff finds the proposed development will be harmonious and compatible with the existing development in the surrounding area. The proposed landscape buffer will match the existing buffer adjacent to the west. Due to the submitted plan revisions, staff has changed our recommendation to approval. Please note additional letters of support were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Brandon Epperson, 15771 West Evans Drive. I am here on behalf of Go Concepts. Happy to answer any questions regarding the site plan.
Thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn this over to Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, this project was obeyed and looked at a few times, and happy to have come back with something that is going to work and meets staff's approval. And so ready to make a recommendation at this time.
Please do.
Would like to make a recommendation for approval following staff's recommendation on item 23-0273 A and B, subject to staff's conditions.
Yes. Motion's on the floor, please. A was, we struck.
B. Yep. Just B, correction, just B.
Motion's on the floor, please cast your vote.
Aye.
And that motion carries.
And that is final action tonight unless appealed to the city clerk in 10 days.
Thank you. If I could ask the city marshals at the back to shut this door. We're getting a lot of noise. All right, moving on to 18, abeyance 23-0364, applicant owner, Weezer Survivors Trust, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request located on .33 acres at 4543 North Rancho Drive, Ward 5. 18A is abeyance 23-0364 VAR. Sorry, that was an abeyance. Number 19 is 23-0288, applicant Fui Properties LLC, owner Siegel Sunset LLC, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project requests on 1.37 acres on the northwest corner of Coolidge Avenue and Casino Center Boulevard. 19A is 23-0288 ZON1, rezoning from C1 Limited Commercial and CM Commercial Industrial to C2 General Commercial. 19B is 23-0288 SUP1 for proposed automobile rental use. 19C is 23-0288 SUP2 for proposed mixed-use development with a waiver to allow a surface parking lot along the street frontage. 19D is 23-0288 VAC1 to vacate the southern portion of a public alleyway generally located between First Street and Casino Center Boulevard. 19E is 23-0288 SDR1 for a proposed 8-story mixed-use development consisting of 114 condominium units, 214 hotel residence rooms, and 31,644 square feet of commercial area with waivers of the Appendix F interim downtown Las Vegas development standards. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff supports the rezoning request as it supports the goals and objectives of the Vision 2045 Downtown Las Vegas Master Plan and is recommending approval of the rezoning request. On the other hand, staff is not able to support a mixed-use project consisting of 114 condominiums, 214 hotel rooms, and a car rental facility with only 9 parking stalls for the entire complex. Therefore, staff is recommending denial of special use permit 1 and 2, as well as petition to vacate and site development plan review. Please note additional letters of support and protest were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair, if I could quickly disclose that I do own property within the notification area. It doesn't affect me any greater or lesser. I will be voting tonight.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Anna Olin. My address is 3960 West Point Loma Boulevard in San Diego. I'm here on behalf of the ownership.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us anything about the project?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring a couple of updated renderings that we've had since the last submission of what we're proposing here. So this is over 114 condominium units and over 200 apartment, long-term apartment hotel units that will be provided to the area. I wanted to clarify that on the rental car situation, that is actually an off-site rental. It is not part of our programming here. It's through a third party. So I wanted to make that clarification up front for you guys. And in this request, obviously, there's a vacation request for an alleyway that's kind of pertinent to the design and layout of this. This is in cohesion with the English Hotel that we developed right across the street down in the Arts District. I know that the English Hotel, when it went through its entitlement, it was granted a vacation waiver on the parking requirements, so we're asking for the same to be provided here on this development project.
All right, thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. I'm going to ask you to step to the side and please come forward. If we can get your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Kevin Shinnick. I live in El Segundo, California at 133 Virginia Street. I own the property at 915 South First Street, which is directly next door to this. I am in favor of this project. The only question I have, just one note I have, is on the alleyway. And I'm not sure if the drawing was meant to show this, but I just request one of the conditions for approval is to keep the portion of the alley adjacent to my apartment units there at 915 South First Street. I need that part of the alley to remain open and accessible to my tenants because the alley is the only access our tenants have to their parking spots on my property. They have to be able to access it. It's also the only access that Republic Services has for our trash at our property. It looks like from the drawings and the photos that were presented, the alley is open but not open. It's closed right at 915 First Street. It blocks ours. So I just request that, again, I'm in favor of this completely. I just request that the part of the alley that's going to be closed does not block our access to our parking spots. It's the only parking we have at the apartments.
What was the address?
915 South First Street.
Okay.
It's directly adjacent.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I am a tenant at 915
Sir, could we get your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Michael Brown, and I'm at 915 South First Street.
Thank you.
And being a tenant there, I have the same concerns that were voiced here. And I was also concerned of whether or not my residence would be obliterated and I would no longer be allowed to live there. All I saw were some artist renderings on television, and I didn't know if it actually built over the property that I'm renting now or not. So my concern is I would not like to move. I would like to be able to continue to rent. I'm happy with my landlord and the circumstances there, and I really don't want them to change. I'm kind of an artist, and I moved to this space to practice my art, and it's affordable housing, and I'm afraid that I will not be able to find I have a recording studio, and this place provides me a freestanding building where I don't have common walls with other neighbors, and I don't disturb them when I turn up my speakers and the like, and it's at an affordable price, and I really would like to continue to maintain that if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Seeing no one else, I'm going to close the public hearing and ask if you would like to address any of the comments.
Yes, we've submitted the plan to only develop on our property line. We're not going over into the neighbors. And if there is concerns about access along the alleyway, we'd be happy to accommodate that for the neighboring properties. We are providing a reroute of the alleyway that exits out onto Casino Center. So as long as we can maintain a fair and reasonable exit out onto there, we have no problems modifying that. So I just want to add about, understanding the housing crisis and the need for residential in downtown area that this would provide, not just for this project, but, more projects in the future to follow suit in the area to provide residential density for what's much needed downtown.
Thank you. I'm going to close the, public hearing's closed. I'm going to turn this over to the Planning Commission for discussion and possible action, starting with Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you actually raised, alluded to the question I wanted to ask. Yes, there is a housing crisis, and it's great to see more units going in. But with the condominium units and then the residential hotel units, are any of those being designated in any way as affordable housing to meet the other part of the housing crisis, which is the affordability piece, not just the availability piece?
Yeah, the phasing in these two projects will not meet that criteria, not specifically for that, but this is a launching point for future development that we have in the area for other land that we own.
Okay, and is that future development contemplated to provide anything that would qualify as affordable housing?
Yes, eventually we have plans for that.
Okay, yeah, just because, again, recognizing that it's not just the availability, but it's the affordability and building units that then nobody can, certain segments of our community can't access still doesn't resolve that issue. But thank you so much for the answer.
Thank you. It appears that the alley that is being vacated, it still goes behind 915 South 9th Street. And I do see on your map how it curves and goes back out to Casino Center, and then, but that stretch of alley continues behind 915 and then actually ends up going through into your property and then back out to Casino Center again. So it looks like they'll still be fully served. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, the public alleyway is the one that would curve out to there. There's kind of a designation between public alleyway, it becomes sort of a private driveway that would go through our building. We can certainly make accommodations for the neighbors that they have access through that, even if it's on the public driveway part.
Okay. A couple of years ago, we seen the English Hotel come through, and that was your previous project. Is that correct?
Correct.
And at that point, we also seen like another one that was potentially going to come forward, got approved, and whatever happened. But I remember Commissioner Rogan at that point, really pushing to get some of these approved with less parking, and because I always talk about if we want to be great and we want to be San Francisco, or not San Francisco, but any big city, but I say San Francisco, LA, Manhattan, any of these places with limited parking, we can't have big parking lots around every one of our buildings. I've gone back and forth on it quite a bit, but one of his, Commissioner Rogan's comments was, build it, and then we'll eventually build a parking garage. We'll find the parking. I think Jay Dapper, even though it could be years down the road, is looking at building a parking garage right next door to this project on the Mission Linden site. I do believe that will come forward at some point in the future. I do believe that seeing how the English Hotel has operated over the past 2 years, going to the Pepper Club, checking the place out, the parking that currently exists on First Street is more than sufficient for that particular use. And doesn't seem to be a big burden. I'm there from a lot of times 6:30, 7 in the morning because I have construction sites all over the Arts District, all day long until the evening. And I'm not down there as much in the evenings anymore. I know it does sometimes get busy, but it gets busy all over the Arts District. It gets busy all over Fremont East. It's, I don't know, I see that there is a way to make this work, and I don't know how it's been working so well, but I think it's been working real well at the English. But I'd like to see if anybody else has any comments on this.
Just so you know, we actually have been in conversations with Mr. Dapper on the proposed parking garage that he has there and leasing space from him to help provide some parking. Was not finalized prior to the application, but just so that you know that's been in the works.
Thank you. Commissioner Kazama?
Well, you covered most of the points, but just saying that, when it comes to parking requirements, there's been a lot of studies and showing that it's the parking requirements that usually inhibit the construction of, more quantities of inventory. And so just simply getting units online will eventually help with some of the market stabilization that we're looking for. So every progress is progress. So thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Rogan, did you have any comments?
I just have a question for clarification. Is the applicant withdrawing 19B, the SUP for the automobile rental use?
Yes, we can.
Oh, you're actually withdrawing that particular item?
I don't believe we actually need it. That is a...
You stated earlier that somebody else was going to be operating that, but that is part of your application. So
It is part of the application, but it is not going to be on site, on this particular site. So I just wanted to make that clarification that the 9 parking spots in there are not in what we had proposed in the Shared Tesla program. That Shared Tesla program is going to be done off-site.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would recommend if they plan on having a booth or an office or some type of arrangement where people can rent the cars on site, that they would need this SUP.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, this is really close to another project that we developed years ago, and at our retail we have about 9,000 square feet and we don't have on-site parking, and through each tenant we've been able to make it work and work successfully through hair salon or the architecture firm, the sandwich shop, and make sure that not just the patrons, the staff also has a place dedicated to go. This is much bigger in scope, I'd say, and I don't understand the model of the condominium not having a dedicated stall, but that's more of a business point for you to sort out, So I can get behind it. I do see how the English is working. It's hard for me to fathom, 31,000 feet and the condos and zero parking. I understand that you're talking to the adjacent owner about potential stalls. Are there any other ones that you've started to look at? Have you started a parking plan, basically?
Yeah, we actually do have a few parking plans that we were planning to submit with the next phase. We do own other land in the area that would be suitable for parking, surface parking there. There are 9 spots dedicated in the condo tower for the condo residents there as well that would be available.
Okay, I think, again, through a good plan, it can, you can get through, because we're able to do it for 17 years, a couple blocks away, and do it successfully. So I do like the project, and I will be supporting it.
Thank you. If there's no other comments, can we get a motion, please?
Through the chair, item number 19, and are we including B? I'm sorry, I missed that. I'll make a blanket motion for approval, A through E.
Thank you. Motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote. Commissioner Rogan?
Aye.
All right. And that motion carries.
And that item will move on to City Council on December 20th.
Okay, I'm going to ask the vice chair if we could get a motion to rescind the motion on item number 13 so we can rehear.
Okay. We will make a motion. I'll have a motion to rescind item 13 so we can rehear that.
All right. Motion on the floor to rescind item 13. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
All right, and that motion's rescinded. Is the applicant here for item number 13? And since I abstained on this matter, I'm going to turn this over to the vice chair.
Okay, through the chair, we're going back into item 13. Can I just get your name and address for the record again quickly?
Of course. Jennifer Gaynor, J. Gaynor Law, 1810 South 7th Street. Thank you.
Thank you. And it sounds like we're discussing a condition. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, we had a discussion with the gentleman, and they were interested in us having a condition on the off-premise sales, no hard liquor, and we are comfortable with that.
Oh, okay, this was all the noise out back there. Okay, so okay, I'll open up for public comment if there's anything that needs to be heard. Sounds like it's been worked out. I'm seeing no one, I'll close it, and then we will put a motion on the floor with approval.
Mr. Chairman, through you, if I may, just for clarification, state the condition we will add. That will read, off-sale alcohol sales shall be limited to beer and wine only. Thank you.
Fantastic. There's a motion on the floor with that amendment to the condition as read into the record, and the applicant agrees?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogan. And
I'm sorry.
that motion carries.
And that item remains final action unless appealed to the city clerk in 10 days.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 21, 23-0329, BAR1, applicant Elefatera Managafa's owner Managafa Revocable Trust for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow a proposed 5-foot tall solid wall in the front yard where 5 feet with a 2-foot solid base is the maximum allowed on 0.63 acres at 10000 Hidden Knoll Court, Ward 2. Staff recommends denial. Can we get a staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed front yard wall exceeds Title 19 maximum height requirements. Staff finds the variance request to be a self-imposed hardship and thereby recommends denial. Please note additional letters of support and protest were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Jessica Lane, representing the Mangafas homeowners, and I'm with Proficient Patios. We are here requesting a variance on on an open fence that you have on the front of the property. As they showed the picture, this is what it currently looks like now, and we are asking for permission to go ahead and get this built into a CMU wall with stucco and paint to match the house. We do have HOA approval already with no issue, neighbors' signatures, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn this over to Commissioner Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was approached or contacted by the applicant's attorney that we're going to put this on a 30-day hold, put it in abeyance. Did you
I'm
have-
sorry, Commissioner, we requested?
No, your attorney?
I'm
Or
sorry,
the
attorney?
person managing, yeah, the Brown,
No.
Jay Brown. It's a call I got on. Okay, we'll go forward with it then. Yeah, I don't know, I got it the other day.
That's odd.
Yeah,
No, not that I'm aware.
okay.
We don't have an attorney representing us, and I spoke to the Monk office this morning, and they knew I was representing them here, so not
Okay.
aware.
Have you approached the councilwoman's office on the property or chief of staff?
No, I didn't even know there was counsel.
No, in the ward councilman. Okay. How about any staff for the ward?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I mean, just other than the planners that we've been speaking with, right, throughout the process.
Okay, yeah, there seems to be some confusion on this one with the office, that there was a request to put it in a 30-day abeyance till next meeting.
No, Your Honor, I mean, no, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, through you, staff did not receive a request to hold this item in abeyance. We were not made aware of any kind of request.
Okay, we'll go forward.
Thank you.
With it. That's the only comment I have on it. Okay. I'll agree with staff's recommendations. I don't have any other information on this, and since the ward office and staff had not been contacted on the project, what I would recommend is that you request us to put this in 30 days, contact the ward office, the chief of staff there, and the councilwoman specifically on what's being done here.
Okay.
Okay, because it's being denied right now by the city.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I do these variances all the time. I've never really had staff meetings, but okay, I'll take that recommendation.
It's to your best interest, because if we vote on it and deny it, then, you'll have to go through the process again, and I don't want to do that. So I'll make a motion that the applicant will request the 30-day abeyance will be read at next council meeting.
All right.
Commission meeting, excuse me.
There's a motion on the floor for a 30-day abeyance, and that will be to the December 12th Planning Commission hearing. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
And that motion carries. That will be held. We'll see you in 30 days.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you got a second, ma'am, I'll talk to you for a second over there.
All right, moving on to item number 22, 23-0332 VAR1. Applicant Suzette A. Sterner and owner Gary L. and Suzette A. Sterner for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow a 0-foot separation from the primary dwelling where 6 feet is required for an existing residential accessory structure on 0.17 acres at 5805 Negril Avenue, RPD 3, Ward 6. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this request is the result of an open code enforcement case for a shed that was built without building permits. Staff finds the variance request to be a self-imposed hardship and thereby recommends denial. Please note additional letters of support and protest were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners. We received a code enforcement violation on a shed we had built back in October of 21 and installed it next to our home. The shed, I don't know if you can see the pictures. So it's 7 feet high, and then up here in the corner, it's 8 feet, 28 inches long. It's 196 square feet.
Could I please get your name and
I'm
address
sorry,
for the
Suzette
record?
Sterner, 5805 Negril Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay. The shed sits 2 inches from our home, no water or power, and is 7 feet from our shed to the block wall, separating us from our neighbors. We have installed new gates, and to show that you can't see it anymore from the street. I don't know where to put this. but you can see where the new gate is. So here's the new gate. This is from the inside right here on my property, and this is the street view right here. We followed our HOA rules by submitting everything to our ARC committee and getting ARC approval, and we have that on page 7 of this, and our neighbor's approval on page 8. We did not know it was required to contact the city to obtain a permit and or approval from the city, something our ARC committee should have known, but we know now, and we apologize for that, and we beg for forgiveness, but respectfully ask for a variance to keep this shed. I was told by Jessica in the Building and Safety Department that we do not need a permit because we are under 200 square feet. The contents of the shed are patio furniture, holiday decorations, items I inherited from my deceased parents. I feel like I am being targeted by a vindictive homeowner because I'm on the board and he doesn't like me. I met with Mr. Achilles Tan and Mr. Jonathan Boyles, and I want to thank both of these gentlemen for helping us navigate this. I also want to thank Commissioner Jennifer Taylor in our Ward 6 Planning Commission of Nancy Bruden's office for her help in all this. You know, we live in an HOA, and you would think that they know the rules, and I know, and we don't know. We just, I am on our board, and we're learning this, and I'm on our ARC, and we're learning this, so I am requesting for a variance. Is there anything I can show you? I have all these pictures, and I have approval from our ARC committee, everything. You can see where the shed is per my property right here, where it's along the side of my house. My neighbors, I have all my neighbors' approval. I know cards went out. I have a lot of support from my neighbors. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come down. Give your name and address for the record.
Hi, 5708 Negrell. My name is Robin Talley. I live down the street from Suzette. I don't see a problem with her having that shed.
And what was your name?
Robin Talley.
Thank you.
We live in an RV community, and RVs are closer to the walls than the shed, other than it being up against her house. I really don't see how there's a danger or why anybody would have a problem with her having a shed with some decorations in it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good evening. If we can get
Hi.
your name and address.
My name is Brenda Osaski. I live at 5812 Negril Avenue. I'm directly across the street from Suzette. This shed is absolutely gorgeous, so well built and matches her house exactly. It's not very well seen now with her new gate. I don't understand how there would ever be a problem. It was built with love and by a professional, and it's just amazing. And her yard and home is immaculate. So I'm also on the board, so we're pretty picky. It's a gated community, and it's a wonderful place to live, and it being built, whoever built it did a super good job, but I don't understand why there would ever be a problem with like a little bit more inches from the house. I think they did it closer to make it more compact because it is a large, long shed, but it's just beautiful. And to have to remove, you can't move it like 7 feet out, you can't. So she'd have to tear it down, and that would be a crime. So I'm begging, as a neighbor across the street and seeing it, and it looks absolutely gorgeous, please allow this variance for it to stay. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no one else, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and turn this over to Plan Commission, starting with Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So thank you for bringing down this extra information, Ms. Sterner. Looking through here, it looks like some of your original HOA information where you did receive, neighborhood awareness. People knew and did not have any problem with the shed at the time it was constructed. I know there are a lot of layers of approvals. you've got your HOA approval, you've got whether or not this needs to have a building permit, and then you've got this variance. I went out and took a look at it, and to your neighbor's point, it is very harmonious. It blends well with the house. It's not obtrusive. It looks very professional. It looks like a piece of the overall architecture. And thank you to your neighbors for coming down to confirm how they were feeling about this structure. And so with that, I don't have any other questions, and I'd be prepared to make a motion.
Please do.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve 230332 variance for a 0-foot separation from the primary dwelling where 6 feet is required for an existing residential accessory structure.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
All right, and that motion carries.
And that item is final action tonight unless appealed to the city clerk in 10 days.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Item number 23 is 23-0451 VAR1, applicant John Y. Ching, owner John Y. Ching and Emily Tang, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow a 35-foot front yard setback where 50 feet is required, a 1-foot side yard setback where 10 feet is required, a 0-foot separation from the main dwelling where 6 feet is required, and to be located in the front of the main dwelling unit where such is not allowed for 2 existing residential accessory structures at 6408 West Ann Road, Ward 6. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds the variance request to be a self-imposed hardship and is recommending denial. Please note an additional letter of protest was received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here on this particular item? Seeing none, I will open this up for public discussion. Seeing none, I'll close the public discussion and turn this over to Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did speak to the applicant. He is overseas right now. He had indicated that his neighbors did not have any concerns with the carports as built. So would it be possible to get the address of the protest card and find out which neighbor it is?
Mr. Chairman, through you, if we could trail this item so we have a chance to go through the backup materials to see exactly which address opposed this item.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. Thank you.
All right. We will trail number 23 and move on to item number 25. 25 is 23-0457 VAR1, applicant owner, the Cavasso. All right, my sheet wasn't updated, so, all right. Moving on to item number 26, 23-0461 MSP1, applicant Clark County School District, owner School Board of Trustees, for possible action on land use entitlement project request for a proposed wall sign with animated LED display and existing wall signage at an existing public primary school on 10 acres at 7770 West Delhi Avenue, Ward 4. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed sign does not meet residential adjacency standards, and staff therefore recommends denial. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Chairman, Planning Commissioners. Chris Dingle, 1180 Military Tribute Place, Henderson, Nevada, 89074. I'm with the Clark County School District. This is a request for a wall sign at Eisenberg Elementary. And you can see the wall sign will be used to convey information. There's an LED portion for the students and the parents as they come to school to be located in the front of the school. It's right here in the front. Now, the issue is it's less than 100 or 200 feet, excuse me, from residential. It's actually 185 feet. But the residence right here, it actually sides. It doesn't go up against the front of anything. It's the side of the houses. We had a neighborhood meeting on November 8th. No one showed up. We're good with all the conditions, if approved conditions, and we're here asking for your approval.
Thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing, and anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn this over to Commissioner Kasama.
Thank you. This item is fairly standard. We've seen a few of these sign changes from CCSD come through. One thing I did want to just say, though, is we did have one constituent reach out just to express some general concerns in terms of and I just want to give voice to his concerns. You did say that he feels that perhaps taxpayer dollars could be going more towards cross guards or safety around the school. So it was just a general concern with that. But out of curiosity, are you going through all of CCSD? Is this just, I'm just curious about the funding mechanism behind these changes.
Well, if I could address that. This sign was, the schools actually fundraised for the signs, and that's how the funding for the school or the sign came about. As far as safety, CCSD is doing safety upgrades to a lot of the schools right now. They don't require land use entitlements, so we are doing them. And as far as crossing guards are concerned, those are actually, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but those are paid for by the jurisdictions. We don't control the streets, so the jurisdictions actually pay for the crossing guards.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is true.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And but with that, like I said, fairly standard. So I'm ready to make a motion for approval.
All right.
With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 26, 23-0461 MSP1 with staff conditions.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
And that motion carries.
Thank
and
you.
That item is final action tonight and must appeal to the city clerk in 10 days.
All right, I'm going to move on to 28, which is 23-0467 VAR1. Applicant Maria Rodriguez, owner Raul Gill and Maria Gill, for possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow a 38-foot lot width where 100 feet is required at 1201 South Commerce Street, Ward 3. Staff recommends denial. Can we get the staff report, please? Oh, and if I can let the vice chair make
Yeah, through the chair, I will be abstaining from this item through a company that I have a financial interest in. There's a pending litigation with the owners of the, I will be abstaining. Item 28, through a company I have a financial interest in. There's a pending litigation with the owners of the, on this applicant, so I will be abstaining.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Mr. Chair, do you want the staff report?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, the applicant requests a variance to allow a reduced lot width in order to split the subject lot into two parcels. The proposed lot width fails to adhere to Title 19 minimum lot width requirements for the CM Commercial Industrial Zoning District. Staff finds the variance request to be a self-imposed hardship and thereby recommends denial. Please note additional letters of support and protest were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Jeremiah Delsey Johnson with Tanny Engineering, 6030 South Jones Boulevard, here on behalf of the applicant. So the subject parcel is located at the intersection of Commerce and California and downtown Las Vegas. The property is currently zoned industrial commercial with a planned land use of light industry, light industrial and research. This variance came about as part of a parcel map application. The parcel map and variance were a result of the divorce agreement between Raul Gill and Maria Rodriguez and part of the property division. The parcel is being divided so that Ms. Rodriguez may retain the parking lot on the east side of the lot, the existing property here, as employee parking for Casa Don Juan located along Main Street. The subject portion of the parcel has been used as employee parking for the restaurant since opening over 20 years ago.
It offers 7 spaces, additional spaces for employees to park in an area with limited parking downtown. The reason we're requesting to divide the parcel rather than applying for a easement is because the property owners have concerns about the long-term responsibility of maintenance for the property in light of the divorce. Raul does have future development plans for his property here along Commerce and does not want to be tied to the development or any future improvements at the Casa Don Juan property along Main Street. And so that waiver is just subject to this portion right here, where it's a 38.78 foot depth where the 100 foot is required. With that, we agree with staff's conditions if approved, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn this over to the Planning Commission for discussion and possible action. You know, I've read this particular item's in my ward, and I do understand what you're trying to do here, but I mean, the problem is we're taking one lot which doesn't even meet the minimum lot widths, and we're breaking it down into smaller chunks. And that small piece that butts into the alley, I drove by it today, and whenever I drove by it, I mean, it's tiny. I mean, it's not even from you to me, you know, in width and length. And sometimes we start getting these little parcels, and you know, the only thing that could be used for in the future would be a parking lot. I don't know. I feel that there's a better way that y'all could go about doing this, some sort of parking agreement or whatever. That's none of my business, really. I just don't want to get into a habit of starting to subdivide these already small parcels into smaller parcels. But I'd love to hear what the other planning commissioners have to say if they have any comments. Commissioner Williams?
Through the chair, I would add, my concern is the subdividing already small lots as well. So
right. And then on top of that, if it ever did get developed in any way, now you have additional sets of water meters and power and RPDAs and RPPAs, and we're already starting to see these like get littered all over the streets, and you won't have room to put any of those utilities on this particular site. I think you're an engineer yourself, and you know how much room all of that takes. So I just wouldn't be able to support this, and looking for a motion if somebody would be willing
Excuse
to
me,
make
Chair.
a motion.
Could I make another comment?
Please.
So we had also, just after our conversation yesterday, I spoke to the attorneys involved in this, because everything has to be run through them as well. There's also, we're looking into the option of potentially having a irrevocable easement on the property, subdividing it until such time that Casa Don Juan is no longer operational or the restaurant use is no longer permitted on the property, or is no longer functional on the property. Then it would revert back to no longer being, the parking use would be limited to that. I don't know if that's, we're still early on, so I'm happy to hold it, or we can take the denial and work through it with Commissioner Diaz, or Councilwoman Diaz as well. But is that something that might be more agreeable, something that would just limit the parking for the time being?
And you may have called me. I've seen a call from Tanny Engineering earlier today, and I was crazy busy and didn't have a chance to get back to you. We spoke yesterday or the day before, but and maybe that's what you're wanting to speak to me about. I think that's something you could potentially talk to the council person's office about if this, if you want, between now and when it gets heard at City Council. It's not anything that I would entertain myself, just because it just gets complicated. We're splitting the lot for all the wrong reasons here. I mean, the wrong planning reasons. Right. And this is a self-imposed hardship. There's no irregular sized lots. If anything, you're making it more irregular by doing what you're doing here. There's just not much justification that from what I'm hearing to get me to support this, and it doesn't sound like you're going to get much of the Planning Commission support, but I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I might add to, once this is remapped, the condition of approval would not be placed on the map to revert if, Casa Don Juan was ever sold or any other circumstance like that. So it would be a permanent lot with no condition.
But you definitely could do some sort of irrevocable easement to Casa Don Juan, and so Casa Don Juan always has parking there, just not by splitting the lot. I think that you could achieve exactly what you want in a lot simpler method.
Yeah, I will get with all the parties involved and we'll work through this prior to City Council.
Because I think an easement without the separation or the splitting of that lot would make a lot of sense. But then you wouldn't need the entitlement. You could just do that civilly, between both parties. All right, Commissioner Williams, could we get a motion here?
I'd like to make a motion on item 23-0467 VAR1, motion following staff's recommendation for denial.
Thank you. Motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
All right, and that motion carries.
And Mr. Chairman, for the applicant's benefit, that one is final action tonight and was appealed to the city clerk in 10 days, so the mechanism to get that to city council is through the appeal.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 29, 23-0468 SDR1, applicant owner Piero's Landscape Maintenance, LLC, for possible action on land use entitlement project request for a proposed 5,448 square foot building maintenance and storage development with waivers of off-site improvements and perimeter landscape buffer requirements on 1.24 acres on the south side of Ricky Road, approximately 435 feet east of Rancho Drive. Ward 5 staff recommends approval. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, for the record, this posted agenda item did not reflect the staff recommendation, where it should have stated recommendation for approval. While rear yard landscape waivers are requested, staff finds the proposed development adheres to the overall intent of the GC General Commercial Land Use designation, and the project is designed to be compatible with the existing development in the surrounding area. Therefore, staff recommends approval. Please note additional letters of protest were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Jeremiah Delsey Johnson with Tanny Engineering, 6030 South Jones Boulevard, here on behalf of the applicant. So the subject parcel is located south of Ricky and east of Rancho Drive. It is a 1.24 gross acre lot. It's planned land use of general commercial with a general commercial zoning category. This is a site development plan requested to allow for the development of one lot office building and storage yard with building maintenance and storage use in the rear. Access to the property is proposed directly from Ricky Road via 32-foot wide commercial driveway. It will be constructed to uniform standard drawings. The internal drive aisle will be constructed at 24 feet and 40 feet in width. And the Ricky Road will remain in its existing rural condition, which is one of our waivers. We requested an off-site deferral for Ricky Road. With 32 feet of paved roadway, no curb, gutter, sidewalks, or street lights. And a 15-foot landscape buffer will be provided along the adjacent right-of-way. Here we have one of the elevations showing where this landscaping would look as a 3D rendering. And so we'll have the 15-foot landscape buffer along the right-of-way, as well as landscaping adjacent to the building and along the parking stalls on the east side or the west side of the property. And the proposed structure is a two-story, 5,448 square foot office building. Contemporary architectural design, as you can see. 19 parking spaces are provided on site, including one handicap van accessible space. The remaining 0.75 acres behind the structure will be used for outdoor storage for the landscaping and construction materials used by the business. The outdoor storage area will be screened by an 8-foot screen wall constructed to match the existing or the proposed elevations of the building. And staff said we are requesting a landscape buffer for the landscaping to the south, east, and west along the storage yard. Just due to the proximity to other properties with similar land uses, we do not feel that the landscaping would provide any benefit. It would also keep this area focused on storage of material rather than a customer-centric part of the property. So with that, we appreciate staff's recommendation for approval and here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn this over to Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Reviewed the project with the applicants, and I have no concerns here. I think that You can see quite a bit of landscape is still on the frontage of the property, and I actually agree that, additional requirements is not necessary, and so I'd like to make a motion at this time.
Please do.
I'd like to make a motion following staff's recommendation for approval on item 23-0468 SDR1.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
And that motion carries.
Thank you.
And that item will move on to City Council on December 20th.
Thank you. Item number 30, 23-0480, applicant Jasmine Gamanal, owner Lucky Kids Daycare 3 LLC, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request on .17 acres at 713 Northeastern Avenue, Ward 3. 30A is 23-0480 VAR1 to allow 4 parking spaces where 9 spaces are required. 30B is 23-0480 SDR1 for a major amendment to a previously approved site development plan review for a parking lot reconfiguration to establish an outdoor play area for a proposed child care center with a waiver of the perimeter landscape buffer requirements. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds the proposed child care facility does not provide adequate on-site parking and site circulation for the number of children proposed, and is recommending denial of both the variance and the site development plan review. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Luis Flores. I'm the architect.
Jasmine Gaminal, I'm the applicant.
If I can get you to come to the microphone.
Jasmine Gaminal, I'm the applicant.
Thank you.
Regarding the parking requirements, the parking requirements is 1 for every staff, which means we are going to have 5 staff. And for the childs is 1 for every 10 childs. We're going to have at this location 35 childs, which means there's going to be 4 parking spaces for the childs. And that's what we are proposing on the site, 4 parking spaces. The parking spaces for the staff is going to be located in a closed location, okay? And the owner make an agreement to provide that parking spaces for the staff. So she is going to introduce herself and let her know that she has in this business for a long time, and she knows and how she's going to propose those parking spaces.
Okay, thank you.
So I currently own 2 other child care facilities that are approximately the same size, about 1,800 to 2,000 square feet. They're fairly small. We serve lower income children, mainly state contract subsidy contracts, and so we don't operate, parents don't have to arrive at a certain time, so parents arrive when they need to. We help a lot of parents that actually work on the strip and it's on their way to the casinos, and they don't come. Most of the time it's usually for a facility that has approximately 30 to 35 children. That's the max number. You're not going to have that amount, all the time. But even if you were to have 30 children, you probably get maybe 2 to 3 parents at most at the same time, just because they don't have a specific drop-off time, and the latest they can pick up their children is 6 o'clock. We're expecting to maybe extend it to a later time just to help, parents that are working later on the strip. And so what we propose for the staff is, I have talked to the neighbors in the area. The properties across the street have really large lots, and a lot of them are not being used in the back. It's just empty. So I talked to one of them, and he agreed to allow me to rent the parking spaces necessary for the staff members, which would be an additional 5 parking spaces. So in reality, we are providing the spaces needed for the children. Like you said, it's 1 parking space for every 10 children, and we will have a total of 4 parking spaces, but we just don't have the space for the staff members. Now, in my current facilities, I usually hire people that live within the area, just because a lot of the times it's just better to have people that live close, and most of them come walking or take the bus. So I haven't had a parking issue in my other place that is the same size as this one. And it's pretty much down the street because I have 3153 Southeastern. I have I expanded to 3163 Southeastern, and now it's 713 Southeastern. I'm trying my best to also, we only have we're only meeting 30% of the demand for the need of childcare for lower income families, and so I can't myself run a big facility. It just would be too much. I was just trying to open one more because as soon as I opened up the second one, I was at full capacity within the first 3 months. And so, just trying to bring some of those people that needed the additional help to this one more building that is only like 1,900 square feet or 1,800 square feet.
All right, this was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Turn it over to Plan Commission for discussion and possible action. Did you say, so you currently have one at 3153 and 3163 Southeastern?
Correct.
And then this one's at 713?
Correct.
Okay. And, the biggest issue that I have here is I look at it, and I think that majority of the people would probably drop their kids off in the morning. Maybe that's not accurate, but if you have a rush of people trying to drop their kids off in the morning, and you have 8 parents or 10 parents or 12 parents show up, what do they do? I mean, because they can't back up onto Eastern,
right,
and there's no park lane on Eastern, so they're going to be backing up, or hopefully not trying to drop kids off from Eastern Avenue.
No. So with my experience on this number of children, I've never had 8 parents, not even now that, both facilities are right next to each other. I've never had 8 parents at once. The most I've had are 3 or 4 parents at once. And it's because we don't specify a drop-off time. It's kind of like, bring them when you need it. So I have parents dropping off as early as, 7, 6 a.m., and I have other parents dropping them off at noon. It just depends on what their needs are. I haven't had an issue with parking yet. There are, I would talk to the neighbors if at any time it would be some sort of issue, but I haven't had an issue yet.
How many parking spaces do you have at your other locations?
So in the beginning, when I had them both separated, each facility had 4 or 5 parking spaces. One of them had 4 and the other one had 5. Now what I've done to ease up the traffic, when I bought the second one, I needed time to open in order to, work with Public Works, and eventually what we did was 1 entrance and 1 exit and joined the parking for the 2 buildings.
And looking at the site plan, if this actually had a through travel lane where you would go through with that cross-access agreement over into the neighbors to exit back out onto Eastern, I think that would alleviate, I bet that helps out a lot, having an entrance and an exit for your two other addresses.
When I initially bought 316th Street, it only had 1 entrance and 1 exit. It was the same 1 driveway, and we made it work. It wasn't an issue just because like I said, could it happen where you have more parents show up all at once? Yeah, it could happen. It hasn't happened as of yet. Now there's some parents may find it easy to park around the corner and just walk with their kids, which I've seen that happen before when a parent, just maybe finds the parking lot for themselves may be difficult. They just park around the corner and walk their kid there.
Excuse me, may I show the site plan here?
Yes, please.
Okay.
If we can go to the overhead.
Okay. All right. So the site plan, we got 1 parking space here, we have another here, and we have 2 parking spaces here. If there's more than 3 parents coming at the same time, one of them can park here, another can park here, another can park here, and they can easily back up and leave it in this direction without any problems. Also, if there are more parents coming, they can go to the parking to the back. And also they can back up and go in this direction. So the sign is designed in order to easily handle more than 5 people coming at the same time.
Okay. I do see you have more stacking room on site, which, you know, I feel that definitely helps having more stacking room. You know, these individuals that's dropping off their kids won't stay there for a long term, and I guess if somebody did pull behind them, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I want to hear from my other commissioners to see what they have to say. Commissioner Walsh.
Yes, Commissioner. One of the items that I think is important, especially with the growth of the city population, there's a really big need for childcare, especially over the past 3 years with the drastic increase of demands, you know, from young parents and young children. I got a little bit of experience doing the work. My wife worked at a daycare center for 2 years. It's complex enough, and I'm going through some of the other notes. So I think it would really support that provision for areas, but I don't know that much about that particular community area, but I know it's pretty much citywide. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Taylor.
Oh, thank you, Chairman. I appreciate all the discussion about the parking. The concern I have is that this is an area that is part of one of the higher heat map areas, and you only have 3 trees, and they are on the outside area, and you've got you know, this landscape waiver that you want right where kids are going to be out playing is what it's looking like to me. And so I just wanted to see how, well, in addition to it not meeting the city's planning for increase in urban forestry to help reduce urban heat island impact, how are you going to protect kids outside when it doesn't appear that there's really any shade for them to be outside playing based on the landscape waiver request and the tree layout that you have?
So the landscaping that there is right there where the trees that you say that are existent are in the play area. Those will be left there for the children to have shade, and we will provide additional shade for them. The additional trees would be like in the parking, which is already a limited space. That's why we need the waiver. There will be some landscaping, just not as much as I guess is required.
And so when you say you're going to be providing additional shade, does that mean you're going to have like a canopy out in the play area?
Yes, we have to. Licensing or health department requires a certain amount of shading, not necessarily provided by the trees, but more of a kind of like a carport of some sort or something for the children.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that. Thank you for that information.
Vice Chair.
Through the chair, I do appreciate the backstory from the applicant. That really helps me understand it a lot more and gives some good texture on what you're doing there and how you operate. These properties are difficult going up and down Maryland, going up and down Eastern, that are commercial spaces and or homes that have been converted. And I think understanding now the background, knowing some of the stacking that can happen, and understanding it is a 24-hour town with like the drop-off, and obviously the kids are generally during the day, but I'll be able to support this application.
All right, thank you. And, you know, I appreciate all the comments and talking about the stacking and all of that. I had a lot more concerns before we had this discussion tonight. I would like to see, if this does move forward, I'd like to see a one-year administrative review placed on this. That way staff can take a look at it and evaluate if you have a parking issue.
Sure.
Quite often we don't take away entitlements, but I would like to look at reevaluating the number of students that you or kids that you have in your facility. If you do show that you have adequate parking, then keep operating the way that you're operating. If you have issues and staff sees that, or if we receive complaints, I'd like to have staff reduce the overall number of students or kids that are allowed to attend this particular facility.
Okay.
And you'd be open to that?
Yes,
Of course. Okay. Could you help us craft a added condition?
Mr. Chairman, if I can direct you to the staff report, condition number 6 under the site development plan review does include a 1-year administrative review if approved.
Okay, perfect. And so you agree to all the conditions of approval if approved?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see if Vice Chair wants to give us a motion.
Through the chair, motion for approval, blanket motion for approval on item 30, subject to all staff's condition and the administrative review.
All right. Motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
And that motion carries.
And that item is final action tonight unless appealed to the city clerk in 10 days.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Going back, reopening item number 23 that we trailed earlier, I'm going to go straight to staff and ask staff if they were able to locate the protest card for the particular homeowner or the person that sent in an opposition card.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I was able to locate the opposition postcard, and we were able to get a map to Commissioner Taylor so she could see the proximity to the applicant's location.
Thank you. Commissioner Taylor?
Thank you, Chair. The proximity is, it's like one street over, so within the radius, but not really within the immediate adjacency to the property. So even though the applicant's not here, I would like to go ahead and move forward with this. I did go and visit the site, drove by the site, and it appears to be harmonious, compatible with the rest of the neighborhood. The side carport is, behind a gate. The front carport blends relatively well with the roof. And so I don't have really any issues with it. And if that's the only protest, then I'd like to go ahead and make a motion on this item, unless anyone else has any
Please do.
comments. Okay. Then I would like to make a motion to approve item 23045-1, the variance for a 35-foot front yard setback where 50 feet is required, the 1-foot side yard setback where 10 feet is required, and then the 0-foot separation from the main dwelling where 6 foot is required in order to accommodate the existing accessory carport structures.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
All right, mine didn't pop up. Here it is. And that motion carries.
And that item is final action tonight unless appealed to the city clerk in 10 days.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 31, 23-0484, applicant Shane Terry, owner Tony Chin Sin Sai, and Jasmine P. Win Sai, for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request on .32 acres at 1300 South Main Street, Suite 120, Ward 3. 31A is 23-0484 SUP1 for a proposed 3,554 square foot alcohol on-premise full and alcohol off-premise ancillary use with a 750 square foot outdoor patio area. 31B is 23-0484 SDR1 for a proposed nightclub with a outdoor patio area. And before we go to the staff report, I'm going to be abstaining on this matter as I'm under contract with the particular applicant. turn it over to you, Vice Chair.
Through the chair, I will disclose I own property within the notification area. It doesn't affect me any greater or lesser, and I will be voting on the application tonight. With that, can I get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is proposing to occupy the entire site with indoor and outdoor business activities, which leaves zero space for a trash enclosure, and utilities, which will end up being placed within the public right-of-way, which staff cannot support. Therefore, staff is recommending denial of the special use permit and site development plan review. Please note additional letters of protest and support were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I get your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Shane Terry, 1301 South 6th Street, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89104.
Thank you, Shane. Can you tell us about the application?
Absolutely. So I think the focus of the SUP is actually on the backspace, but to tell you a little bit about the entire project, what you'll see off of Main Street will be a general retail mercantile shop, and it's actually a speakeasy to go into the nightclub and bar that we're going to be doing in the back. So we're requesting the alcohol full nightclub permit under the SUP. We are requesting a waiver as well for utilities in the public right-of-way. Basically, the way that our building is set up, we're not allowed to put in any sort of RPDAs in the alleyway, so the Las Vegas Valley Water District would require us to put it either on Colorado or Main Street. I know that there's been a lot of work by Chairperson Schlottman, Councilwoman Diaz, and a lot of the staff long before our project came here to try and get a shared use of RPDAs. There's one existing that would work perfect for what we're trying to do. We're hopeful that that will be approved by the Water District, hopefully early December. And if that's the case, then we won't need the waiver, but we do want to request one at this time to make sure that we have it as a backup if needed. With that, I'll turn it over to the commission for any questions.
Thank you very much. This is noticed as a public hearing. Anyone like to be heard on this? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to the commission for discussion. I will say I'm very familiar with the RPPAs and RDDAs or RPDAs and all the different things happening in the alley and the water looping and the efforts that have been made for almost a decade now, I'd say, and how there's definitely been some impediment to development and some heartburn from previous people looking to go in. This is something that we have done in the past, and it would be nice to see your project get through and break through with the Water District to actually have that, but I don't see why it should hold you up. I think in the end, if you do get that passed, it's a better look for what you're trying to achieve as well, as opposed to the way it would have to sit right now. Other than that, I really don't have any other concerns. No? Okay. Any comments or concerns? No? With that, I'll make a motion for approval, blanket motion on item 31, A and B.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogan. And that motion carries.
And that item will move on to City Council on December 20th.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, moving on to item 32, 23-0485, applicant Clark County School District, owner School Board of Trustees for possible action on the following land use entitlement project request on 7.32 acres at 1200 North 27th Street, Ward 3. 32A is 23-0485 VAR1 to allow deviations from Title 19.10 CV Civic Development Standards. 32B is 23-0485 VAR2 to allow 101 parking spaces where 123 are required. 32C is 23-0485 SDR1 for a proposed two-story, 88,647 square foot primary public school. And 32D is 23-0485 MSP1 for a proposed wall sign with animated LED display and other proposed signage. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, due to the requested variances for building height, building placement, perimeter landscape buffers, and parking lot landscape islands, staff is unable to support the proposed project and is recommending denial of both variances, the site development plan review, and associated sign plan. Please note an additional letter of protest was received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Excuse me. Chris Dingle, 1180 Military Tribute Place, Henderson, Nevada. I'm here with the Clark County School District representing this. This is the replacement of Walter Bracken Elementary. This is one of the projects that's funded from the 2015 Bond Revision 5. With me is the architect, and he's going to give a brief presentation.
Hello, thank you. Brett Anderson with NIT. We're the architect for this project, 7250 Peak Drive, Suite 216. Really briefly, I'm just going to walk through the project here. This is the proposed replacement school, 88,000 square feet, two-story building. It is at the intersection of 27th and Searles. Searles is at the north side of the property, 27th is at the west side. Moving north to south, we have our proposed parking lot in the same spot as the existing parking lot. Just south of that, we have a separated pickup drop-off lane for parents. The primary entry to the school is off of this pickup drop-off lane, as well as to the west of the school along 27th. At the front of the school, we have a separated kindergarten play area. The school shapes around an inner courtyard for the students. Behind the school, we have outdoor play area, which includes foursquare, tetherball, some covered shade structure, covered playground area, and a large sports field. And then over in the southwest corner of the property, we have a separated bus loop to separate bus traffic from parent pickup drop-off traffic. I just have a couple renderings of the proposed school. So this is the primary entrance viewed from the parking lot. The second story that you see here is the library space situated at looking out onto 27th and Searles. This view here is the view from 27th and Searles back at the school. The view shown here along the top of the page is, again, from the parking lot, expanded out so you could see the typical classroom arrangement. And then finally, we included a rendering as well, just showing the arrangement of the inner courtyard for the students. We have reviewed the staff's recommendations and the conditions for approval and have no comment, and we'll take any questions at this time.
Thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'm going to close. Oh, looks like we have a couple of people. If I could ask you gentlemen to step to the side. If we could get your name.
Hello, my name's Alexandra Scott. I live in 1225 Coach Lane, 89101, to the right of the school. My only concern was it doesn't go outside the indicated project area. That's it.
Okay. You're just saying you want to make sure it stays within those boundaries? Okay, thank you. We'll have them address that in a minute.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, sir. Please come forward. If we can get your name and address for the record.
Yes, good evening. Henry Adams, 2736 Searles Avenue, right by the school. And I had some concerns too that the young lady had, that it stays right, in the property, because I stay, right to the right of the school, going down Searles Avenue to Arthur Avenue. So that was my only concern. I don't have no problem with the school or nothing, because a lot of parents park, right outside the school, to pick the kids up. And some of them park right in front of my driveway, and they're like, oops. I said, don't worry about it. Don't hurt me. I'm on my bike. So, I'm pretty, easy with that. If they make a mistake and park in front of my house, tell them, don't worry about it. Get your kids.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming out tonight.
Sure.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Rebecca from 1225 Coach Lane. I just wonder, you guys trying to push us out of our house or what? Because we've been there now. I would like to stay there. My daughter grew there. She went to school to that school when she was little, so I would not want to be pushed out of my house. So that's my question, that's my fear. I just want to be clarified that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Could we get your name?
Rebecca.
Rebecca, what was your last name?
Romelli.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to close the public hearing. And is there anybody else that wanted to speak on this? No? All right. I'm going to close the public hearing. I'm going to ask you gentlemen if you could address some of those concerns.
Okay, excuse me. As far as the boundary is concerned, we're going to only be working within the property that is owned by the Clark County School District. All the improvements will be on that property with the exception of any off-site improvements that the city would require us to either redo or upgrade or anything like that. As far as parking, we don't meet the current code. However, we are going to, right now there's 77 parking spaces, and what's proposed is going to be 101, so we are increasing that. And as he pointed out, we are putting in we're putting in a parent drop-off. You know, it'll be a circular where parents can get through, and we are also putting in a bus drop-off that doesn't exist now, so we feel that we're improving the circulation and the overall functionality of the school.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Vice Chair?
Through the chair, I just had a quick question. I noticed some really nice mature trees in the existing pictures. Are any of those staying?
Yeah, some of the landscaping along the eastern property line is going to be existing to remain. There are some trees in that area that aren't doing well that will be removed as a part of the project, but we have made an effort to keep some of the existing landscape and some of the mature trees, specifically some of like the fruit-bearing trees and stuff that the school uses for some of their curriculum.
That'd be great. To Commissioner Taylor's point that she brings up, it is an important thing with the urban heat island, and I do see some beautiful trees on that property.
Commissioner Taylor?
And thank you, Commissioner Cherry, for acknowledging the trees. I appreciate it. It's a really beautiful project, and I appreciate that you guys are trying to save existing trees. And I was going to ask about interior trees, but I note the comments about security and safety, and so, you know, anything you can do to make sure that heat island impact is addressed and mitigated is fantastic, especially this is another very high indexed area for heat mapping, and so, you know, glad to see them all around the perimeter, and then again, saving those trees that you can on the eastern side. So thank you.
Thank you. And just for you gentlemen, it sounds like there may be some misconception and news that got out there that y'all were buying more property or something, but that y'all are absolutely not buying any more property and not taking over any more parcels other than the parcel that y'all already have and
Correct.
own.
We are not purchasing any property.
Okay, perfect. Then I went to the neighborhood meeting, and I stayed there for 30 minutes or so until it was over, and it seemed like everybody had a lot of questions about different materials and the trees and what's going to happen with the fences, but overall it seemed like most people were fairly happy with the new school. If you look at the school, it's pretty dilapidated, and this one really needs to be updated. When would you think that this project would come online, or when do you think it would construction would start, and how many school sessions would have to be where students would have to be relocated to a different facility?
Yeah, so thank you. The school construction would start next year when the kids get out for summer, so 2024. They would be located at a temporary school for 1 year while the construction was taking place, and then would come back for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, perfect. I don't have any other questions. I think it's a beautiful school, and it's much needed. If I could ask the Vice Chair for a motion.
Through the chair, on item number 32, a blanket motion for 32A through D. Motion for approval.
Thank you. Motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
Thank you. And that motion carries.
And that will move on to City Council on December 20th.
All right, thank you. Item 33 is 23-0496 SUP1, applicant Exo Liquor Rainbow LLC, owner Rainbow Commercial LLC, for possible action on land use entitlement project request for proposed 4,000 square foot alcohol off-premise use at 2300 North Rainbow Boulevard, Suites 113 and 114, Ward 5. Staff recommends approval. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed use will be located in a shopping center and will be compatible with the existing commercial uses in the surrounding area. All Title 19 special use permit requirements are met. Therefore, staff recommends approval. Please note additional letters of support and protest were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Laura Drea, 520 South 4th Street, here on behalf of Sam Sharma. We have staff's recommendation for approval, and this is an assurance that there's not a proliferation of this use in the area. The code requirements for separation of full off sale are extensive and almost prohibitive, as a matter of fact, and they're non-waivable. Mr. Sharma is an experienced operator. He's in good standing with his 2 other stores in the valley. He can operate in a manner that's compatible with the neighboring uses, and we ask that you follow staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn this over to Planning Commission. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No issues with this project, and I'm actually in agreement with staff's recommendation and ready to make a motion at this time.
Please do.
I'd like to make a motion for approval on item 23-0496-SUP1, motion for approval, subject to staff's conditions. You agree with staff's conditions?
Yes.
Motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
All right. And that motion carries.
And that item will move on to City Council on December 20th.
Thank you. Item 34 is 23-0499 SDR1, applicant owner, Advent United Methodist Church, for possible action on land use entitlement project request for a proposed 83,555 square foot, 4-story mixed-use development, including a 1,200 square foot clinic, a 2,500 square foot individual care center, 50 multifamily residential units, and existing 4,995 square foot church with waivers and perimeter landscape buffer requirements on 2.72 acres at the southeast corner of Rancho Drive and J Avenue. Ward 5, staff recommends approval. Can we get the staff report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed mixed-use development aligns with the City of Las Vegas 2050 Master Plan Rancho area, which calls for neighborhood mixed-use centers. The development will feature affordable housing units, a clinic, and daycare. Staff finds the development will be an asset to the community and recommends approval. Please note additional letters of support and protest were received since publication. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Reverend Eve Williams, representing Advent United Methodist Church at 3416 North Rancho, 89130. We are proposing 50 units of affordable housing and also mixed use with the daycare, with the childcare and the clinic. We are very, very grateful to have the support of our neighborhood association, which exists right to the west of us. We've done a neighborhood meeting where they attended, and they even made some really good suggestions that I think we're going to take, like a dog park. We are going to be targeting 80% of the units will be seniors, low-income and housing insecure seniors, and 20% will be supportive housing for youth aging out of foster care. And I
am Jamie Gray. I'm one of the principals of KG Development Group, the developer with Advent on the project. And we, part of, as Pastor Eve has indicated, that we'll be doing a digital health clinic, which would be for use not only for the project, but also for the surrounding community, as well as a child care center, as you know, as a child care desert, to help with that situation. So we're very excited about the project.
Thank you.
And I'm Anthony Casey. I'm just a handsome face for the project, so I just want to say that for the record. Well, thank you, guys.
One final thing I wanted to say, I once was a pastor of the property, and now I've moved on to a more community-focused position, also staying a pastor, but this was time to take this piece of land that we've had for many, many years, since the late 80s, and actually, you know, put it into action, what we say that we're actually going to be about and do and serve the community.
Thank you. This was noticed as a public hearing. Anyone wanting to be heard, please come forward. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn this over to the Planning Commission, starting with Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just say that very happy to see this project come to fruition in this particular area. and it meets all of the requirements, both from a community overall master plan perspective and the need service in the area. And so it was enjoyable to work with the team here to work through any challenges or questions that they had. And unless there's further comments, I'm ready to move this forward.
Please do.
I'd like to make a recommendation for approval in agreement with staff's recommendation on item 23-0499 SDR1. Motion for approval, subject to staff's conditions, and you agree with all of staff's conditions?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion's on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
And that motion carries.
And that item will move on to City Council on December 20th.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to Director's Business, number 36 is 23-0556 DIR1, applicant owner, City of Las Vegas, for possible action on the request to approve the 2024 Plan Commission meeting schedule. Staff has no recommendation. If nobody has an issue with this, can we get a motion?
Motion to follow staff's recommendation.
Motion's on.
No, motion for approval. Thank you.
Motion for approval of our of item number 36 is on the floor. Please cast your vote.
Aye.
All right, and that motion carries.
And that item is final action tonight.
All right. Citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within jurisdiction of the Plan Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Plan Commission unless that subject's on the agenda and scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Seeing no one, this meeting's adjourned.